Hello, everyone. Welcome, namaskaram, sashikal to everybody. Uh, Across first four episodes, we explored land, body, lineage, and perception as distinct systems shaping our human experiences. So today we are moving into something different, and we are really excited about it. Not a new grid. It is not at all a new kind of a grid, but what happens when multiple grids activate at once? This episode is all about threshold moments, periods where land pressure, planetary cycles, nervous systems, and ancestral patterns converge. Okay, that point, creating intensity that can't be explained by one cause alone. So, today we are going to try to cover this particular topic from different lenses. Yeah.
And welcome everybody to episode 5 of the grid work episodes. So, as of now, like current reality, many of them are sensing that there's something that is moving or shifting very quickly. And it
Mhm.
is not just internally, it's also externally. Okay. So, you might be in touch with many people who might be telling you about this. If not, then let us tell you what we have been listening from our communities and from our social media communities as well as our internal communities. Okay, so some of the things that they most commonly describe is that sudden fatigue, so
Mhm.
unexplainable fatigue, right? Unexpected clarity, lot of identity changes or loss of tolerance for certain old ways of being, and even environments for that matter. Now, I want to let you all know that these are not symptoms that are very random, okay? They often signal that a system is reaching a particular threshold. Now, what is a threshold? Okay, we'll get into that. But then I've watched this entire groups that has moved through simultaneously, like clients responding the same week, or they've been reporting in the same week where they have experienced unexplainable heaviness, which is followed by very sharp decisions of leaving. It could be jobs, it could be relationships, it could even be like moving cities. So when we map the timing, we almost always find that there is some kind of planetary, climatic, and geomagnetic events that is happening, which is
Mhm.
influencing people to go through these changes. So you're not hallucinating. This is actually convergence, okay? And your changes in who you are being and what you are doing is what is registering it. So, Alicia, do you want to get into what threshold is?
Exactly. Priya, I want to pin on the convergence word that you have mentioned over here. That is the threshold, which means a threshold is not a gradual change. Okay. So it is a point of convergence when several systems cross activate at once. Okay. So it can be many levels. They cross activate at one point. That is the threshold. Okay. It can be land memory, it can be planetary pressure, all these together. Okay. Inherited stress patterns. We have covered this in our last episode. Individual nervous system capacity. For example, each one of these can be manageable on its own. We know that. Okay. But when they align, the system does not respond in a linear manner, like in a in a different manner for all these domains. They club up at one certain point. That point is the threshold point where everything around your path, all these domains that I have mentioned, it reorganizes. We'll be diving deeper into what our topic is, what are the thresholds, what is the need of talking about it today. So, yeah, yeah.
You remember, I think I really got excited about this topic when we ended the previous episode. And I'm going to share something that I went through just 2 weeks ago in a very short manner, okay? And please do remember that you can cross thresholds when you are least expecting it, okay? And for me, it happened in a temple where I visited with my mother, wherein there was a lot of reminiscence of what has happened in the past in our own lives. That's my mother's, mine, my father's. And we were in the temple, and if any of you are from the south and from Kerala, you know what a Chandamelam is. And there was this Chandamelam happening in that temple, and I went into a trance wherein I saw my entire high council coming or becoming one. I saw the entire grid of the temple lit up. I saw how that temple grid is the central node of the city that I'm living in, and how that central node is connected to multiple nodes within the city. So this deity in this temple has different node points in the city. So the city is Bangalore, the deity is Ayappa Swami. So he has different node points, because if you are from Bangalore, you know there are many Ayappa temples located in different locations within Bangalore. So I saw this entire grid lit up, and I saw how one grid, at least the grid that I am in, how is that connected to all the other, grids in the temple? How are these grids helping the people of this city, protecting the people of this city? And how are they doing their best to keep the environment? When I say environment, I'm talking about the mental, the physiology, the emotional, the energetic environment as safe as they can. Okay, because they are not going to intervene in your personal will, and they're not going to change things for you. But if you are willing enough to change, then they provide you with the kind of resources, which wherein your reality changes. Okay. Um and what I understood from this entire thing is that we feel that we are a very simple human being leading a very treacherous and a very strenuous life on earth. But then, how beautifully we are surrounded by divinity all over, and how divinity is cocooning you, taking care of you, even in the most difficult of times, with some call as luck, with some call as good karma, with some call as, whatever you want to call in all these terminologies. But then it's so much more beyond this, you all. And I had to share this story, okay?
Right.
So when you are very aware of this, or when you are, let's say, a grid worker, and I also saw who is the grid keepers of this place. It is Shiva, Shodashi, and there are many grid keepers or grid workers, like human beings placed in different places. Like, you don't even know that you're doing the grid work, but you are placed in different places. You feel like doing some things. It could be as simple as, I was saying this to a friend, it could be as simple as you going and touching a tree when you're out on a walk, and you're just telling the tree, you're so beautiful. That in itself is like a grid work. Okay. So that is why many people have been feeling one way a certain times and another way a certain times.
Yeah.
And these thresholds, they don't announce themselves gently, you all.
Yeah.
They appear, and they appear, the appearance can be very subtle, or sometimes it can be very loud. Okay, so it can be like a sudden loss of interest in who you were until about like 2 days ago. Okay. It could be possible that you meet with an accident, and everything has gone topsy-turvy in your life, like the vehicle is like beyond repair, but there is not a single scratch on you.
Mm.
If something like that has happened in the past couple of days to any of you guys who are listening, please know that you have actually gone through a portal. Like, you have changed your timeline. Okay.
Yeah.
um it also can be that there is exhaustion that rest did not resolve. Okay. And there is also times when there's so much clarity without any kind of effort. And also, there is intolerance for environments that you were able to manage once upon a time. Okay. So, this is your system reaching a decision point. For
Yeah.
example, someone functioning very adequately in a high demanding corporate role can tolerate ancestral over responsibility patterns for years. If you want to know more about this, you need to watch our previous episode. Okay.
Yeah.
So, when those patterns meet a period of increased, let's say, solar activity, land instability, or nervous system, you suddenly have this saying that I don't want to do this anymore. And there's a sudden drop of interest from whatever you have
Yeah.
done the last 20 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So the role that once felt very purposeful now becomes like an unbearable nightmare overnight. Okay, that
Mhm.
is your threshold speaking that, bro, you're not the same person that you were last week.
Yeah. And the threshold is also, I think we can channelize in threshold moments as well. When there is overload, there is also reorganization happening on the
Mm,
other side,
mm,
right?
mm,
So, one of the biggest misunderstandings is confusing system overload that you might be experiencing with system failure. This is
mm,
the conditioning that we have. Okay, so again, I feel called to mention the clarity code over here. What is overload? Okay, why we feel overwhelmed? We work with the inner grids. Please, guys, go to the description and see if you would wish to join us in a 3 hour live immersion. Okay, coming back. So, overload happens when multiple inputs arrive faster than the system can route. Okay, distribute, and integrate. It doesn't mean your grid is broken. It's congested with so many things, okay? It can be on various levels. I have seen people feeling so much uneasiness in their bodies when there is a change in the solar activity happening, okay? Change in the um, weather happening, okay, change in their places happening. So all these things, they definitely play a very important role. This is true not just for human nervous system. This is a very important point that you guys need to understand. uh, it is also applicable to the land grids. That is why we are again and again mentioning the land and lineage both, because when tectonic memory, your ancestral imprints, solar input that we are receiving, and human activity converge, all these things converge too quickly, like it is happening right now. The way Priya mentioned, no, everywhere we are saying this, something is shifting, we have shifted. Okay, so it doesn't mean one thing, everything is shifting around us. So, threshold point pauses the flow. Okay. So, just feel into this. River slow, fault lines go quiet. Fault lines will go into this in the upcoming episodes. Consider as them as energetic meridians of our earth, of our body, our nervous system. Okay. Therefore, there are certain regions which feel heavy. Okay. There are certain regions which are numb or still. There are certain regions which are inaccessible in terms of land, in terms of your nervous system, in terms of your uh, physiological system, your behavior. Okay. So, reorganization, when it will begin? It will definitely begin when the grid, okay, let's take two things to understand it simply in a simpler manner. Let's take body and land, okay? They reorganizes old pathways that no longer carry the current charge, okay? What is happening right now? New channels start forming. For example, Priya, I have been noticing after June 2025, there has been a surge in Kundalini activation, whether these people are into yogic practices or not. Okay, whether they have done meditative practices or not. the way of living of certain people have been in such a way that their channels have started reforming. Okay, because environment is so. You are pushed to reorganize yourself. Okay, that is why there is a lot of shift in tectonic activity. You are seeing volcanoes erupt. You are seeing a lot of talk about the change in the axis of Earth's chakras. Okay, there is a talk about certain lands which were dormant. Nobody was aware about it. Dormant civilizations, indigenous civilizations, people, traditions, tribals. Okay. So outdated routes thin out so stronger, more coherent ones can emerge. So what I mean by that is it's just like we are raising the curtains and seeing everything clearly, to put it in a simpler manner. Okay. So let's look at it from a grid perspective over here. In the starting, Priya mentioned about fatigue that we are experiencing. Alongside that, I would like to add on withdrawal as well. Okay. There is a lot of withdrawal that I've seen this year, experienced ourselves as well. Okay. Withdrawal from jobs, from relationships, moving cities, and feeling disoriented. It's like I'm not myself, kind of a feeling. So please know that these are not signs of a breakdown or a collapse or something has just broken.
Mm.
Okay. Let's learn that these are the signals of remapping, of your system remapping, your grid remapping. Okay. In the body, energy withdraws to rewire fascia and neural pathways. We have covered a lot about human grids in the episode 3, I guess.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
Wherein we have talked about how facial intelligence play a very vital role in resonance with land and how it impacts our body. Okay, please go to that episode. If you feel called to, please watch. Okay. So this was the body, but with the land, energy gathers underground because it is physical, earth, okay, elemental science. So energy gathers underground, it re-emerges through altered flows. So there is a talk that has been happening over few media streams that is that energy is folding to the Bharatiya grids
Mm.
from different, uh, you know, some people state this as Shakti is coming.
Mm.
Shakti is coming back. Shakti is moving. So it's the energy that is folding and coming back, which is re-emerging through altered flow. Means it can be seen in our bodies. Okay. So just know that failure is entropy. Reorganization is intelligence, your innate intelligence at play. Okay. Both can feel similar. This might be a question in your mind that how can we differentiate between overload and reorganization? Are we doing both at the same time? Answer can be yes or no. Okay. Because these trajectories differ. Okay. Failure fragments the grid and leaks energy. Okay. Reorganization increases coherence and load bearing capacity. So I'm going to dissect these in a very simple manner. Okay. Which means you all know about parabola. Okay. There is this high note that goes on from one point and ends at the next one. Okay. Consider one parabola as a phase of discomfort, then a saturation point, then again a parabola. This could be overload phases, okay, where you can experience all the reorganization, your behavior, certain kind of behaviors coming up. Okay, certain kind of soul contracts completing. For example, you have shunt out 10 people in 1 month, let's say. Okay, this is how it reorganizes.
Mm.
Okay, so for a moment, it can feel like a failure, but it is followed by reorganization. What looks like stagnation, the plateau point that I have mentioned in between these parabolas, or let's say more appropriate would be sine curve. Okay, so the in between plateau points might look like stagnation, but just know whether in a person or a place, it is often grid learning, you learning, we learning how to hold more life. Okay, how to recalibrate before movement returns. Okay, so all these things, they increase coherence, that is coherent state inside us. We are able to hold more, we are more aware than before. Already there is a lot of surge in awareness that an average individual carries nowadays. Okay, guys, this is where we are speaking. This is the point where we are mentioning why multiple grids are awakening at once. Yeah,
I want to just add on to what you're saying, okay?
yeah.
So, in an overload, you're trying to push through, okay? It's like
Hmm.
you're against the wind.
Okay.
However, in reorganization, pushing creates collapse.
Okay.
So, the threshold period requires slower processing.
Hmm.
Mm, if you are from India or the southern part of the world, okay, right now, this entire month, I think it started from solstice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started from solstice and it is going to go till the equinox, which is around Feb 17th, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So this entire period is a period of dip, slow. And it
Hmm.
happens with the plant life, the animal kingdom, and everybody. So if you sow a seed right now, it's gonna take forever for it to come out. Okay, that doesn't mean the seed is not working. It just means that everything that is happening underground. The seed is preparing for its arrival when it is end of Feb, beginning of March. Okay, so try it for yourself if you want. Sow a seed, leave it there, see if it sprouts. And if you're going to go dig that ground in the mid of Jan, you will see that, oh, there are roots that is growing. There's everything that's happening for the shoots to come out very soon. Okay, so slower processing, fewer inputs, stronger boundaries, reduced performance expectations. Okay, this is what the threshold period requires. So the system isn't asking for you to put in more effort, it is asking for more space to recalibrate.
Absolutely, Priya. It is asking so. And also, I want to correlate this with like multiple grids
Mm,
activating at once,
yeah, yeah,
how it actually looks like from a planetary lens.
yeah.
Okay. So I have always been a person who has been feeling grids inside my body and in my liminal space. So I have been receiving a lot of information about grids. So let's take one example
Mm,
wherein let's say solar activity increases
mm,
alongside geomagnetic instability.
mm,
The activity of sun and our geomagnetic instability both increases at the same time. Now during this period, what would happen? These are all the facts, guys, that we have recorded. People reported disrupted sleep. There was insomnia as well, heightened alertness. Okay, there is a high possibility that you guys might be receiving premonitions of what is happening just after 2 seconds prior to what to the reality.
Mm.
Okay. Irritability or mental clarity that arrives without effort. Okay. Which means your nervous system is responding to changes that is happening on a planetary level, on electromagnetic level, right? So, uh, at the same time, the land pressure often rises. How can we identify that? Seismic movement of the land. Okay. Volcanic activity that is happening on our planet. All the subtle shifts that are happening on the tangible level, okay, they don't always lead to visible events. Please know this. Okay, it's not that when these things happen, they will always come up with any kind of calamity or hazard. No, they can change how land hold tension. For example, there can be a shift in the energy of that land. That place can become more lively or more depressed. Certain kind of events can happen in that particular grid. Priya, I would like to mention what I've shared with you recently
Mm.
last week.
Yeah.
What happened in our grid is in since the December started, I have been noticing that in our neighborhood there were a lot of births that took place.
Mm.
And simultaneous to that, there were deaths as well in the same family. So you see, there was only difference of like 24 hours, 48 hours, or 72 hours in between, which means the incoming of souls and uh, leaving of souls increased in that zone. So I don't want to create any fear notion over here. So from understanding perspective, this is how planetary forces can be at play. Okay. So people keep on living on or connected to certain regions. They felt restless as well. I myself have felt restless. I think in last 4 weeks.
Mm.
But it was unexplainable until I got to know about this, that I was feeling the collective grit. Okay. So if you are ungrounded, you will be unusually decisive. Okay, without knowing why you are being why. So your functionality, I would say, your operations become very different. Be with that. Okay, you don't have to do anything about it. Being in that state allows the reorganization to happen. Hence, the change in your environment and reality.
Brilliant. Like, that was so much in depth, you guys. I like literally want you guys to pause this video here if need be and just take a few moments to just soak all that information that Alicia gave you. Okay? Because this episode can be a little uh too much if you're listening to this for the very first time. So you can save this, come back, watch it later. You can watch it in bits and pieces because understand the enormity of this episode. Okay, we are helping you understand what is happening in your body. It's not about what is going to happen. Okay, what's already happening within you and outside of you when all these things are happening in a simultaneous way. So if it is overwhelming, rather than just scrolling to the next video, just pause it, save it, come back, watch it again. Okay, because I'm going to get into another part of it. So I'm going to give you another example wherein I'm going to be talking about climatic instability, which is overlapped with ancestral land memory. I'm smiling because it's two different topics, right? You're talking about climatic instability and then you're talking about ancestral memory. So I'll try to make it as interesting as possible, but there's only so much that I can do, okay? So let's say there is extreme heat, there is flooding, there is drought, or there is an erratic seasonal cycle, okay? These will activate your old survival patterns, which is stored in your family system. It could be urgency, or it could be hoarding, or it could be overworking, or it could be emotional withdrawal. Now, the real time scenario that we went through not very long ago was COVID. So, what did we do during COVID? We were not supposed to get out of the house, right? We were isolated in our place. We couldn't get out without mask, right? So, all of you lovely people who like to go out for a walk, who loves to go out to buy groceries, who loves to go out to parks or watch movies, or travel, none of those was possible. So, we were all inside the house, right? Now, when that happened, a lot of things changed for us. COVID was one of the
Yeah.
biggest spiritual awakening
Yes.
because a lot changed over COVID. Your thought process changed, your way of being changed, your things that you want to do changed, your mentality changed, your outlook towards relationship changed. Like people came more closer when you were within your walls than the times when you have the leeway to get out and go meet people, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, why am I telling you this is because we have all experienced these, right? Now these reactions, now think about, okay, what was my reaction when COVID hit? How did I react? Okay, that means how did I feel? Did I feel irritated, agitated, exhausted because I was inside the house? Okay, I know that I was the most happiest person because I'm already a person who loves to sit inside the house, and then COVID did not force me to get out of the house. So I was like, oh, this is perfect for me. But I also know people for whom that was like a prison. Okay, so I want you to think about the reactions that you had, because those reactions aren't just psychological habits, they are inherited responses meeting current conditions. Now,
Yeah.
when climatic stress coincides with unresolved lineage pressures, people experience sudden responsibility or anxiety about safety or resources or a need to hold everything together. Okay, now during COVID, I'm mentioning COVID again and again because I don't think, I know it was not climatic instability, but kind of an isolation, right? So that's why I'm taking that example. Okay, so during this time I saw a lot of people that I work with whose
Mhm.
family suffered because of this historical displacement, suddenly felt so compelled that they had to prepare for a lot of things. So I saw people who were stocking up things like crazy, okay,
Yeah.
who were also making sure that their safety is top notch with everything. Like, I know people who also hoarded oxygen cylinders when in the anticipation that if something goes wrong within somebody in their family, then I have backup. Okay, so even though their current lives are very stable, like right now, but at that time all those insecurities came out. So the body is running an old program in a in a new context. That is what was happening.
Yes, yeah. I feel like this example is so appropriate because everything has changed post 2020
Yeah,
because work moved online, right? Information doubled, even more than that. New cycles, they have accelerated, okay?
yeah.
And there are social expectations as well that stayed high, like productivity, responsiveness, emotional availability, while the planetary stress or planetary perspective was very different.
Mm,
Example, the climatic events that happened
mm,
post that,
yeah,
seismic activity,
yeah, yeah,
any kind of solar flares, okay, solar fluctuations. It was already taxing the background grid. So, what I mean by that is the collective system sped up, the speed is 10x, 100x even,
Mm.
even beyond what our bodies could hold, our minds could comprehend. Okay. So that is why we are here dissecting all these things. But human nervous systems didn't gain new capacity. Okay. So people started doing very specific things. Let me name those. These were like uh, they stopped answering messages immediately. Okay. For example, this directly implies to the impulsive behavior. Okay, the impulsiveness. So people left groups, everything rearranged. Okay, their social uh, environments rearranged, social platforms on which they are on, they rearranged without explanation. They just did the action. So people have simplified friendships. Okay, community is another thing that is there, like a very important word that is in the air. Okay, work roles they have changed. There are many countries who have uh, re uh, they have redesigned their work scenarios, work environments in resonance with all these things. People, it is not just for keeping people happy. Okay, all these systems are working in resonance with certain factors, planetary perspective as well, how our bodies can hold the capacity to work. Okay. I Was it Finland or Denmark? Not sure. They have recently redesigned their work scenario after 2020. Even clothing preferences and routines are different, I must say. Uh,
This is the most hilarious one. I'm laughing because COVID helped us love loungewear, right? We love to be in our shorts, and yeah, our upper part is like really good, but then the lower part is like very gharelu types. And then when we had to go back to work and when we had to like wear work clothes, we were like, "Ugh,
yeah,
can't, cannot."
so yeah, so there is like everybody is out of constant self-presentation.
Yeah.
You that. Okay. So from a grid perspective here, uh, this was not apathy or social decline, okay, or a dip in social skills. Please note that it was load shedding. Yeah, this is the term that is coming to me right now. Load shedding. Just like an electric grid cuts known essential circuits during peak demand. Think it in that way. Okay, the human grid, our grid, it reduced output to protect our core functions. Okay, for example, you have been thinking a lot that okay, I am suffering so much because I am overgiving. Let's say, just an example. So this is the time you are doing the opposite of it. Now you are cutting people, setting boundaries. Okay, and on other levels as well, your sanity levels are different now, your health levels are different. Okay, so just know that you guys are not checking out, you guys are stabilizing. We are stabilizing our internal grids. Okay, while all these all the larger system recalibrates around us. Okay, so that's what convergence looks like in real life. That is the threshold point, hold point. Less performance, no drama, fewer words. Okay, but it is an intelligent survival method during the overload when your system is reorganized.
Yeah, yeah. So you see, when these layers overlap, when there is solar activity, when there is land instability, when there is climatic stress, when there is lineage memory, when there is social pressure, people don't experience them separately,
Hmm.
isn't it? We have all experienced it all at once.
Yeah.
So we experience them as fatigue, clarity, identity shifts. I've mentioned these before: intolerance for old stories, a
Mhm.
need for silence or distance. Now, this is what a threshold can feel like. Okay, I remember there was this client who described it very beautifully. It's like waking up inside my own life and realizing half the furniture that doesn't belong to me anymore. And when he told this to me, it took a moment, but it made like absolute sense that I can never forget it. Now, that's the precision of convergence. It reveals what was always provisional.
Yeah, and that is why thresholds cannot be understood through one lens only. And the way we are talking about it, the way we are looking at it, it is not psychological. It
Mm,
is not at all that we are talking about spiritual crises. It is not that we are talking about personal failures. But we are talking about the moments where multiple systems speak at once, and the human body is the meeting point of it. Yeah. So, uh, pointing back to where we started, once we understand this, the question changes to it's no longer what's wrong with me. It becomes, is my system reorganizing under new conditions? Can this be a question? Can we have, contain, or be in such kind of awareness? See, you will go through so many identity shifts, like wise Priya mentioned in the uh, pointers that sharp clarity, uh, identity shifts. So what we mean by that is why it happens is it is not just your psychological shift. Please note, okay? It is you stabilizing, okay, with new strategy. Let's say if you are shaped by your family roles, you are shaped by your land conditions, where you are living right now, okay, what is the history of that land, where your lineage lived, and the survival requirements to be in that land, okay, might have changed. That is also the shift that we are referring to. Okay. So when these conditions change, identity becomes inefficient. Okay. So at such kind of convergence points, I have seen people reporting, I don't recognize myself anymore. And a lot of my friends, when this Gregorian calendar year is coming to an end, many of 80% of my friends, they stated this. I don't recognize myself anymore. And if you are the one, please introspect. It can be also, I'm unable to maintain the roles I'm playing. It can be in different environments, in family, in friendships, in your workplace. Okay, things that mattered, suddenly it doesn't matter anymore. Okay. So my point is not for you to correlate these things for your own conveniences, please. Okay. Be very discernful, carry the discernment when you understand these perspectives. Don't use them as supporting pointers for your convenient behaviors, right? Just know that this, whatever is happening, is not at all loss. Okay. We are not at all going into dump shit. It's just the redundancy that we are experiencing right now. Yep.
oh, that's a lot.
It is.
So please know that the when you're in this threshold moment,
Mm.
your nervous system literally begins to stop funding identities that
Mhm.
no longer serves any kind of requirement for you. Okay, it does not bring in any kind of regulation, it doesn't bring in any kind of coherence, and that can be a very unsettling feeling, especially in cultures that requires identity with worth. Okay, and there are many, many, many cultures that equate identity with worth. So from a system perspective, it is purely intelligence. For example, I was working with this client who has built his entire career on inherited provider roles. Okay, who has suddenly lost all kind of motivation or ambition during these threshold periods. What I mean is, they were no longer interested to be in the role of a provider
Hmm.
for everybody. It can be, it's, and when I say a provider, I'm not just talking about somebody who provides financially. Okay, I'm also talking about people who are emotional providers. They're
Yeah.
there no matter who is breaking down and falling, they are the pillar of support. And when they reach that threshold point, they realize that they have abused themselves so much by not taking care of themselves, but by taking care of everybody else in their circle, that they don't want to do it anymore. Okay, if this is a very funny example. If you go out on corporate outings, okay, if you're like 20-25 people, and let's say you have an evening get together where there is booze and there's bonfire and everything, there will be some of the soldiers are the ones who fall first because they're like heavily drunk, and then there'll be some last standing soldiers who are the ones who take on this protector personality to go pull out all those drunkards and put them to bed. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm giving you an example because this is very relatable. It happens everywhere, guys. Okay, so now, why did this person fall out of this provider role? Okay, it's not because they were depressed. It's not simply because they were depressed, but the ancestral drive to secure resources at all costs did not match anymore with the current conditions. Okay, so that identity just slipped away. That identity that kept that system stable at once in a time became so energetically expensive that the system quietly withdrew that funding.
Okay. And when the system withdrew that funding, then a person ends up with fatigue, but with clarity. And I've seen a sense of false emergency that we feel this influx a lot at that point of time. So what I mean by that is threshold fatigue is very different from a burnout.
Mm.
I know this might sound like okay. Just know that it is not depletion, it is reallocation. So what kind of reallocation? Energy is being pulled away from maintenance to redirection. Likewise, I've mentioned previously reorganization around you. Okay. So all the energy that has been, uh, like Priya said, the provider role. Okay. If a person is having that provider role and moving on with that protective personality, provider personality for too long, there is a high possibility that this person might be the opposite now, moving through all these threshold moments. And this is why people experience exhaustion paired with sharp insight. Because let's say we learned about gradual change. Okay, our elders, our family, everybody has been saying, बेटा धीरे धीरे हो जाएगा, बेटा धीरे धीरे होता है, आगे धीरे धीरे होगा, slowly it will be okay. What is happening around right now is very sudden. So people have low tolerance but high discernment. They have clarity. People have fewer words but clearer boundaries. This
Mm.
is where we are heading to,
Yeah,
not just heading to where we are right now.
yeah. Because when systems interpret threshold sensations as emergencies.
Mhm.
People, over medicate, over explain, or even put in over effort, right? But
Mhm.
all your thresholds require just containment. It doesn't have to be escalated. So clarity often precedes capacity, and the system sees it even before it stabilizes it. Like one of my clients described receiving complete clarity about leaving a long term partnership during the week of profound exhaustion. Like she could barely get out of bed. And
Yeah.
yet the decision arrived fully formed. Weeks later, when energy returned, like when she was feeling better, so what she did was that during that week of exhaustion, she just stayed and she rested, and when her energy returned, she just went ahead and did what she had to do. Was it so easy for her to do it? Of course not. She went through a lot of shit, okay? um because it was something that was very close to the heart, but then she had to do it because there was no other way. The clarity, the word
Yeah.
clarity, this is going to be such a redundant statement that I'm going to use now. The clarity was so clear that there was no way that she could not do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that fatigue that she went through was not pathological fatigue. Like she did not hurt herself or she did not fall sick, nothing. It was just energetic fatigue. Okay. It was a system conserving resources for that reorganization. I have experienced this in myself and in people who have done a lot of inner work. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to bring in a point over here, which is high frequency and low frequency, high
Yeah.
coherence and no coherence. I want to explain this to you so that you all understand. Okay. Especially those who are interested in spiritual aspects, who love attending, retreats and sessions and stuff like that. So when you are not attending any of these, your frequency is at a particular level based on how you are living your life. If you are just going about life, waking up, brushing, showering, going to work, coming back exhausted, doom scrolling, going to sleep, you're doing this, then your frequency is at a lower frequency, okay? Because whatever you're consuming is already very dense. Your life is also very dense. You're not doing anything to ground or lighten or release or none of those things, okay? Or reflect for that matter. When a person like this goes into a container wherein there is some spiritual work going on, it can be yoga, it can be meditation, it can be breath work, it can be art therapy, it can be anything, okay? What happens is that there is a certain release in your nervous system. It calms down a little bit. When your nervous system is able to calm down a little bit, your frequency goes higher. When your frequency goes higher, you have heightened spiritual experiences. What I mean by that is you have vivid dreams, you have a lot of clarity in terms of things that were stuck in your head, okay? There is lightness in your body, you're looking fresh, you're feeling fresh, you feel like a brand new person, okay? Now, if you don't keep attending these containers, if you don't keep going for the next retreat, if you don't go for the next session, if you're not picking up that next course, this is going to dip. So when this dips, you become, you then now feed another program, then you go high, okay? And then you dip again, then you feed another program. So you literally now become a charsi. Every time you go down, you wanna hit of whatever that is to you. It can be, I'm sure you're getting what I'm saying, right? So I'm not going to explain. So you do keep doing that. Now, what is happening here is when your frequency is high, you're feeling all amazing, light and love and everything. When your frequency dips, you again go into the lower frequency. This is happening because there is no embodiment.
Yeah.
You're experiencing, but you're not integrating. You're not embodying what you're experiencing, and hence your frequency goes down. All right. Now, some of them feel that, oh, I keep doing this, and at one point in time, it'll go up and it'll stay there. No. Until you embody and integrate what you need to, you're not going to get into that state of coherence.
Mhm.
Once you get into that state of coherence, nothing, absolutely nothing, can bother you. What I mean by that is, you're going to experience everything, but your experience is not going to either collapse you, break you down, or create breakthroughs for you, because you're in a constant state of breakthrough. The reason why I'm telling this or bringing this here is because If you are unable to stabilize in these threshold moments, now stabilization in these threshold moments happens when you start learning more about yourselves, when you
Yeah.
start learning more about who am I, why am I the way I am, why do I react the way I am, why do I respond the way I am, why do I feel the way I am. If you're unable to feel, sorry, if you're able to understand these things and work through these things, you're going to go through high and low frequencies, and you have to keep investing in keeping your frequency higher. Okay, now when you invest in keeping your frequency higher, you are investing money into different containers, so you're, whoever you're investing into is becoming rich. Okay, but you are not getting the kind of support that you want to get.
Yeah.
So this should be a checkpoint for you to ask yourself, okay, how many such events have I attended? Where am I now in my emotional, in my energetic spacing? Am I at a level of coherence, or am I, going up and down? If you are going up and down, please stop. And the reason why I say stop is you need to stop and evaluate, pause and evaluate, is this the right thing for me?
Yeah.
If you are going through these ups and downs, and if you really want to understand why am I going through these ups and downs, why am I not getting a permanent solution for my problems, then come to clarity code. You will understand what is bothering you. You will understand how to go through that botherance and how to reach the final pathway. You will understand what is the root cause of it, what is the final destination. Oh, I picked the movie name which I had forgotten. You'll reach the final destination, and then you will understand, okay, now I understand why I'm unable to integrate, why I'm unable to embody what I have gone through. Because when you're going through these containers, you're like the stained canvas who's trying to paint a new picture into it.
Yeah.
A stained canvas cannot have a new, complete, beautiful picture. It is still going to be a stained picture. In order for you to have a beautiful picture, the canvas needs to be cleaned. It's time for you to clean the canvas, guys. So if you feel, yes, I need to clean my canvas, I need to understand this, I need to understand why my system is doing this to me, then you're most welcome to Clarity Code. I'll leave the details in the comments.
Right. So, Priya, can we say that uh, it's all about how we stabilize ourselves through these threshold moments, through these convergence points? Because integration and embodiment is what stabilizes it.
Integration and embodiment is what helps you understand that you are going through a convergence point.
Mm. Okay.
Otherwise, we spoke about overload and reorganize.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
will understand it's a reorganization when you are you will understand what it is when you are in that coherence, when you become coherent. When you are not coherent, you will not be able to understand none of these, because everything is too much.
yeah.
When
It is.
everything is too much, then everything is overwhelming. When everything is overwhelming, then I don't have the capacity to understand it.
Mm, mm, right. So, can we say that stabilizing during threshold moments is not about fixing anything then,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, I feel like it can be this way, reducing any kind of unnecessary inputs,
Mm.
okay? Trusting slower rhythms, maintaining basic regulation, your nourishment plans, diet plans, sleep cycles, the way you breathe, even.
Yeah,
That's the most important point. And also allowing roles to dissolve without rushing any kind of replacement. Because whenever we want to step out of a certain role, we want to place another badge on that to be certain way. So stabilizing is itself a process, but how we understand being stable is when something is in balance. But guys, like we were having conversation, me and Priya one day, and we came to conclusion that there is no shit such as balance. Okay. That's how you feel at ease. It's very individualistic in nature. Okay. So your stabilizing journey would be different moving forward.
So, I also want to add that when you are at a threshold moment, I think the best solution or the best action is stillness.
Hmm.
Because it doesn't have to, it's not something wherein you need some kind of physical effort. It doesn't need any kind of interferences. Okay. The reorganization happens by itself. You really don't have to do anything for reorganizing anything. All you need to do is just be still. When I
Yeah.
say just be still, uh, getting into this space where you can just feel your breath, getting into this space where you can notice everything. Like if you close your eyes for a moment and just notice everything that's happening around you. There's a dog barking at a distance, there is a vehicle that's moving, there is a vegetable vendor outside, there is somebody next door neighbor who's yelling at her child, then there's a cat meowing somewhere, there's a bird crying somewhere. That is stillness, where you're not analyzing anything, you're just there in the very present moment. So when you're supported properly, okay, so when the identities are simpler, when the boundaries are there, when there is reduced overthinking and reactivity, then there is deeper coherence across all systems. Collapse happens when people fight the transition. Like, I'll give you a very simple example of this, which can happen to any one of us, okay? The moment you get a cold, all you want to do is pop a pill.
Yeah.
The moment you get a fever, you want to pop a pill. Know that the fever comes and the fever is coming because your body is trying to fight an infection. That pill can stop the fight. That pill will resist your body from fighting, stop your body from fighting. That means the impurity that needs to get out stays within. You're suppressing it. Okay. But rather, if you don't take the pill, the thing is, even if you take the pill, you're going to have the fever for at least 2 or 3 days. If you don't take the pill, it might go for 4 or 5 days. You're getting a fever because your body is asking for you to rest.
Hmm.
And we don't understand this fact. So, collapse happens when you fight this transition, when you're like, no, 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 I have to get better like right now. So,
Yeah.
I will pop 4 pills today so that I can get up and do whatever I need to do tomorrow. No. Stability emerges when you can cooperate with the transition. The practice is very minimal, it's reduced simulation. And we live in a world full of simulations. You maintain a particular rhythm, any kind of rhythm. You want to play a music, you want to play an instrument, you want to just the rhythm of your breath. You witness everything that's happening in your life without any kind of judgment. You know what? People judge you or not. You judge yourself like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Anything. So when you do all these things, right, over time, the new configuration will reveal itself. It's as simple as, guys, I think this is something that everybody will understand. Your phone goes through an update. When your phone is downloading an update, you cannot use your phone. Stillness. Once it is downloaded, then you have to run that upload, right? Or sorry, run that, I'm not very technical. Run that download. You cannot use the phone. Stillness. Once all this is done, the phone reboots. That is where the integration happens. And once it reboots, then it is, oh, something is new. But we
Hmm.
don't have the patience for any of these process because it is your phone and because you know that you want to use your phone in the next 10 minutes, you'll keep your hands to yourself. But you are unable to do that with your own life.
Right. We have actually deep dived into multiple grids activating at once from different lenses today. So, guys, take it slow. I want to invite you guys to our Gardens of In Between field, where we work directly with all these threshold states, moments, where land, body, lineage, and your perception overlaps. So, link is in the description. Please join if you feel called to.
And I want to say that if somebody has stayed through until now, I really applaud you because
Yeah.
you have the balls to listen, to understand everything that we have spoken about. Even though you have not understood 100%, that's perfectly fine. Okay. And if you have reached till here, I'm being going to be very sarcastic right now. There's so much more hope for you with all my love. Okay. So that, um, so yeah, this was episode 5 of Threshold Moments. I think in the next episode we're going to be talking about planetary meridians. So we have
Yeah.
our internal human meridians. So we are talking about planetary meridians, the lines that organize Earth's energy and human responses.
Yes, and thresholds don't mean something is wrong. They mean something larger is becoming possible. So thank you for staying tuned to this episode. There is a lot more that is coming up, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody. Bye bye. See you in the next episode. Subscribe, engage. Please let us know if it was too much for you. We would love to hear if it was too much for you.